Before we begin, if you like what you hear on the Tan and J-Man Show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and go ahead and click subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We encourage you to interact with us and keep up to date with the Tan and J-Man Show on social media by liking our Facebook page and following us on Twitter and Instagram at Tan and J-Man Show. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of the Tan and J-Man Show with your hosts Tanner Lee and Josh the J-Man Munt. Welcome back to another episode of the Tan and J-Man Show. I believe it's episode 214, maybe 215. I think it's 214. But as you can see, for those watching on the ISC Sports Network, the J-Man is not to my right this week. Filling in for the J-Man is my father, Arik Lee. What's up, Dad?
Not much, son.
Thanks for filling in for the J-Man.
I'm happy to do so.
I think it's your second appearance on the show this year. Your other appearance was back in January when I was feeling ill, so you filled in for me with the J-Man. But
probably your highest rated show.
Don't let your head get too big there. But happy you're with us. It's going to be a fun show. We got a lot to cover. But first off, like they are every week, the Tan and J-Man Show is sponsored by The Damn Landing. Whether you want an epic burger, hand-tossed pizza, hand-breaded tenderloin, seafood, craft beer, or a handcrafted cocktail, The Damn Landing is the place to be. The Damn Landing is a bar and grill located on beautiful Lake Manitou that focuses on freshness and quality. And, of course, they got the Damn Smoke that's available on the weekends and features barbecue and steaks. And in addition to that, you can wash those down with one of their 16 beers on tap, including a constant rotation of today's best microbrews and domestic flavors, or a handcrafted cocktail made using fresh ingredients. You can take in the fantastic views of Lake Manitou in their beer garden or outdoor bar area. Would have been warm enough today to enjoy that, I think.
Would have been.
Whether it be by boat or wheels, the Damn Landing is the place to be, located at 1305 Ewing Road in Rochester. I know you like to go to the Dam.
I do.
What's your favorite thing on their menu?
Probably the Damn Burger.
Damn Burger?
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with the Damn Burger.
You can't.
Except I'm a pretty picky eater, so
yeah,
can't say I've had one of those, but I hear good things.
Yeah, you're a very picky eater.
Well, you provided the Birdie Bogey question this week.
I did.
What do you got?
Well, I was looking into this college football fiasco. I'm sure we'll be talking about later.
Probably talk about it pretty shortly.
So I was looking back, and I was born in 1961. I know I look like
there.
I know I look like I'm 32, but I'm actually a little more old than that. And I've noticed that they have had 23 different champions since 1961.
Wow.
Okay.
23 different champions. Okay.
So I thought, well, how's that compare to basketball? Basketball's only had 24 different champions. So it's really not too different.
Yeah.
Other than the names instead of being Alabama or Duke and stuff. My question to you is, as I looked at it, there's only 3 schools that have won both a football national championship and a basketball national championship. Can you name them?
Well, I'm glad I have all show to think about that, but I think I got a pretty good shot.
I would think one of them would be difficult for you.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty concerning. I'm going to give it my best shot, though.
Okay.
But as always, the Birdie Bogey segment is brought to you by Noble Gnome LLC. Fresh, locally grown, nutrient-dense produce from Bryce and Katie Romine of Mentone, Indiana. You can like their page on Facebook, and you can also follow them on Instagram. And check out their website, noblegnomellc.com. Of course, they're not really selling any vegetables right now, but when the weather gets warmer in the spring, have them in mind and get yourself some veggies.
There you go.
I can't do it like J-Man. Not many can.
No.
It's kind of a staple of his.
Yeah, that's J-Man.
That's a J-Man original.
Yep.
There. So, well, you brought up college football. Let's get right into it.
All right.
The playoff committee over the weekend announced their Final Four for the college football playoff. Were you surprised by the 4 teams? In the 4 teams are number 1, Alabama, number 2, Clemson, number 3, Ohio State, and number 4, Notre Dame.
Well, I think we all knew after Saturday's results, the first 3 were going to be as they were. A lot of people were upset about Ohio State getting in with only 6 games played. Big Ten Conference as a whole kind of put everything in doubt by only having an 8-week season, not allowing to have a week in there where you could reschedule.
They really screwed up, didn't they?
Yeah, and then they had a 21-day you had to sit out 21 days if and when you had a COVID-related illness.
And that got switched over this weekend.
It did.
To 17.
It did, and so a lot of the teams played shorthanded in a lot of games. I know in Ohio State's case, they missed 3 games during the year. 2 of them were not their fault, or it wasn't because of them having COVID. It was their opponent. But so I understand. Although I noticed Dabo Swinney in the final coaches poll had Ohio State 11th,
and didn't Saban have them 9th or 10th?
I did not hear that, but it wouldn't shock me. But
Dabo better watch himself.
Yeah,
he better talk. He's talking a lot of trash. Ohio State's still got some talented kids. You think they're going to put this up as some bulletin board material?
Absolutely. And Ohio State, if you remember last year, one of the few really good playoff games over the last 5 years, Clemson beat Ohio State. Very controversial call where Ohio State kid got called for targeting on I think it was a fumble even, that they would have been their ball. And Clemson went down and scored a couple plays later. Ohio State was actually kind of dominating that game, and Clemson made a few big plays and won. The fourth entry was Notre Dame. And a lot of the excuses everyone's using is strength of schedule. And what happens is it's only how you perceive each conference. I mean, the Big Ten was very weak this year.
Sure.
Matter of fact, I'd say only 4 of the 14 teams had a good year.
Well, I mean, look at a lot of teams' schedule. Like Indiana, for instance, they didn't end up beating anybody over 500.
Right. And
Wisconsin was 3-3.
And Indiana's schedule looked to be a gauntlet at the beginning of the year. But, Penn State, Michigan, Wisconsin all had probably as bad a years as they've ever had in college football. So, really only Iowa, Indiana, Northwestern, and Ohio State are the only 4 teams in the Big Ten that had a winning record. But a lot of the conferences were that way. I was looking at Notre Dame. They played a 1-win South Florida team, a 1-win Syracuse team. They beat 2 other teams that finished 2-8 or 2-9. That's 4 right there. But their balance or their strength of schedule is based on playing Clemson twice.
Yep. North Carolina. Because
a good team, not a great team.
They didn't play Miami, who was the 3rd best team in the conference. At the start of the year, you looked at Florida State. You thought they might be pretty good. They were awful.
They were horrible. And then NC State was the other team in the ACC that was decent. They did not play them. Once again, nothing.
It was a strange year. They had to join a conference.
Right.
But.
So strength of schedule. But just to show you some hypocrisy in this, Coastal Carolina, who went undefeated, beat Louisiana. Louisiana beat Iowa State. Iowa State ended up with 3 losses. Coastal Carolina 0, and yet Iowa State ended up being higher in the final poll or the final rankings than they did. So I'm not sure what the answer was. I'm sure they did not want to put Texas A&M playing Alabama a second time.
Yes.
Obviously, Notre Dame's a brand name.
Notre Dame's going to get the ratings. No matter if you like them or not, you're going to watch them to root for them or root against them.
Right. I'd be curious. Clemson was up 34-3 early in the fourth quarter. If they would have put another touchdown or 2 on the board and made it 41-3 or 48-10, would Notre Dame still have gotten in? I don't know. When Texas A&M lost by 28 to Alabama early in the year, Alabama also had their superstar receiver, Waddle.
Jalen Waddle.
So Alabama's not.
They don't even need Waddle.
No, well, they already have 3
Devontae Smith,
first-round skill position players, and
Mac Jones,
but he might have been the best of the bunch.
Sure.
So I don't know. Between those 2, I'm fine with Notre Dame getting it. I guess their best win was Clemson. Jimbo Fisher's going to say we won 7 straight games against the SEC, but I'm not sure the SEC was that great.
No.
You don't know because the only teams they played were each other.
Yep.
So,
I think they did it right. I think they got the 4 right, and I thought they were seeded correctly. I mean, Notre Dame's the biggest underdog going into this game so far in playoff history.
Right.
In 2018, they got whooped by Clemson. Back in 2012, they got whooped by Alabama. Brian Kelly said they're better suited now to play on this stage than they were in 2012. Well, they better prove it, because if you go out there and get smacked again, if Notre Dame finds themselves kind of on the bubble for this playoff in the future, does the playoff committee take that in consideration and say, well, whenever we put them in, they don't show up?
Well, they're not supposed to. Just like the NCAA basketball tourney, if you have a reputation of losing first or second round every year, it's supposed to –
I know.
Each year is supposed to be different, but really – I think we talked about this on the side. It's kind of an 8 or 10 team tournament now. I mean, it's every year you know it's Alabama, Clemson, probably Ohio State. Then it's between Georgia, Notre Dame,
Oklahoma.
LSU, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Once in a while, Oregon.
Auburn,
once in a while, Oregon. Once in a while, Auburn.
Yep.
And that's about it. I think Michigan
USC
State
hasn't been in the last.
They've never made what is it? It's fifth year, sixth year?
That's a good question. 2014 was the first, so sixth year.
I think Oregon's the only Pac-12 team that participated.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State made it one year
Yep.
and just got drenched.
Yep.
But yeah, I think probably Notre Dame had to be the pick. This is probably the one year where the old BCS system would have made sense.
It would have helped the Cincinnatis of the world out.
Just put Alabama and Clemson together.
I mean, Cincinnati, I was talking to you. I understand why they didn't make the top 4, but to not make 6 over Oklahoma, that's a slap in the face.
Right.
I mean, if you're Luke Fickell or some of these non-Power 5 or the group of 5, I should say, a head coach, and you get a decent offer to a Power 5 school, don't you jump on it? Because what else can you do?
Yeah, well, I think so often those teams that are not in the Power 5,
the group
they have to establish a reputation like Boise State did at one time, or Central Florida was a big issue a couple years ago. Even going back to Urban Meyer in Utah, you remember when they went undefeated?
Then they beat Auburn.
Was it Auburn or Alabama?
It was Auburn.
So, and Boise State beat Oklahoma. So, it'll be interesting. I don't know what you do. It's probably the best thing you could probably do is have an 8-team playoff.
8. But then once you get to 8, people are going to want 12. Once you get 12, they're going to want 16.
But if you establish criteria that the conference champion of the Big 5 take at least one non-Big 5, and then the 2 best remaining teams.
Yep.
I think that probably makes the most sense.
I do too.
That's probably what's going to go to someday.
Probably should have done it this year. This was a good year to experiment with that. But it's probably harder for them to put that in place and then try to retract and go back to 4 if they wanted to. So I understand why they didn't do it this year. But going back to Notre Dame, this was the first year in their school's existence they were in a conference for football, and they made the conference championship game. Do you think in the future we could see Notre Dame join a conference? Because the ACC seems like a good fit for them. They're already a member of the ACC for most of their other sports.
All their other sports.
Hockey's in the Big Ten.
Oh, gotcha.
And I don't see the Big Ten grabbing them, because then they'd have to grab somebody else.
Right.
I don't know. If I'm a Notre Dame fan, I kind of would like to be in a conference, because I think a conference schedule sets up a little easier than their own independent schedule. But as long as the NBC TV money's coming in, I don't see that happening.
Right. It'd be interesting. Some of these conferences have their own networks now, and obviously the Big Ten network's very successful.
Yeah.
It pays a lot of money. We don't necessarily get the SEC network.
Well, the SEC just struck a deal with there's going to be all on ESPN and Disney Plus, and ABC, I believe. So,
yeah, and Notre Dame is a tradition-rich campus, and they have rivalries like USC, Stanford, Michigan, even Purdue to a lesser extent, Navy. So, this schedule they had set up for this year was going to be pretty difficult.
Yeah, they were.
Although Wisconsin ended up not being as good, but who knows what it would have been if everything would have been normal.
Yep.
But this year they actually benefited from a conference, and like you said, didn't actually have to play a couple of the big dogs in that conference.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. There is another bowl game. There was a bowl game played today between Appalachian State and North Texas. A lot of bowl matchups have teams with losing records or teams with a 500 record. I did see today it looks like 9-2 Army is going to get into a bowl because Tennessee had to pull out due to their coach and multiple people on the roster having COVID. So Army, it looks like, could slide into that bowl and play West Virginia, which would be nice for them, because their coach said, Monken said, anywhere, anytime, we're ready for a call, because that was going to be too bad if a 9-2 team didn't get in a bowl. Yeah,
and talking about bowls, I thought the Big Ten got slided a little bit. I think Iowa, Indiana, and Northwestern, one of those three probably should have got invited to play in a bigger bowl. I don't know which one. Iowa had the more difficult schedule. Indiana had a heck of a year.
Or the least amount of losses. Northwestern made the conference championship game and was in it three quarters of the way there.
And Iowa was running a 6-game win streak where they just were dominating teams. So those three all – I thought Indiana playing Mississippi, they should be playing somebody that's ranked.
Yeah, because Mississippi gives up about 50 points a game.
But, I think Mississippi may have put 40 45 or 48 on Alabama.
They can't stop anybody.
Right.
But Indiana's they want to snap that bowl winless streak. They haven't won a bowl game since 91, which I believe is the longest
it is
in Division I.
It is.
So this is their as good a chance they're going to have in a while.
And they should have last year, if you remember, and they had Tennessee down with only, 4 minutes to go or something by 2 scores, and everything kind of hit the fan.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. But like I said, Northwestern's Citrus Bowl against Auburn, Indiana's Outback Bowl against Mississippi, and then Iowa's against Missouri, I think. Does that sound right?
Yeah. So 3
Music
Big
City
Ten
Bowl
versus 3 SEC teams.
Yeah.
So.
And Auburn's without a coach, and the other 2 teams are 500.
Right.
So, but you had LSU who put a bowl ban on themselves. Tennessee ended up backing out of their bowl today. There wasn't a ton of options, and a lot of they wanted to keep those contracts affiliated because the Big Ten, all the other schools backed out. Wisconsin is playing. Aren't they playing? I want to say Wake Forest. Does that sound right? In the Mayo Bowl or something like that.
And if they win, they end up having a winning record too. So that could be a fifth.
That's an awful loss.
That's a horrible loss.
Because you had. I kind of found it comical that Nebraska, all season long they were taking credit for getting the Big Ten back. We'll play anybody anywhere. They could have played in a bowl and they declined.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm sure a lot of these schools have been hit hard by COVID.
Their kids want to go home.
Yeah.
They don't want to play anymore. They don't want to get tested every day.
Yeah. Well, and unless you have a year like Indiana or Iowa or Northwestern.
Well, it's specifically Indiana, who this is the best year they've had in years since the 80s.
Yeah.
Don't know if they're going to have a magical season. I mean, I still think they're going to be very good next year. They're going to be ranked at the beginning of the year. But hopefully everything's more normal. We have full stands, or at least most of the way full. You got to think they're thinking this might have been the chance to the year to do something.
Well, and they did, and like you said, they want to go out with a big W.
So I get why their fans are frustrated.
Oh yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
It was a terrible year to have a great year.
It was just it was. That's a good way to put it. It's just a very strange year. The Big Ten tried their best, but looking back, they should have got things started in late August, early September, and they would have probably not ran into so many problems. But who knew things were going to get worse?
And the 21 days is based on a young man, I think from IU actually, that died with a heart condition.
Yeah.
So they actually tacked on an extra week or so. So Big Ten probably did a lot more precautionary stuff than the rest of the conferences. And, the sports fan in you wants to say, no, only let them go out for 10 days or whatever. But, you want to err on the side of caution.
And now it's to 17 days, like you said, like we mentioned earlier, and that goes for all sports across the board. Mm-hmm. So that's a pretty big change because I keep waiting for COVID to impact a Big Ten team, but it luckily hasn't yet. No,
they've had to cancel a few games, but that's been because of the other side. I think I just read where the Notre Dame game tomorrow night against somebody, maybe it was even, I forget who it was, had to be postponed. So I hope it's not the Notre Dame problem because they just played Purdue, but selfishly. But who knows?
Yep. So any more thoughts on college football?
No, that's
we move
it.
On?
Yep.
Well, let's go on to on this day. Sport events that happened on this day, in December 21st, throughout the history of time. On this day in 1891, the first game of basketball based on rules created by James Naismith was played by 18 students in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Thank God for James Naismith.
Yeah. A little peach hoop, maybe?
Yep. Peach basket. Yeah. Cut out the bottom.
I think they had to get the...
No dribbling at first. It was
I don't even
passing.
know if they had the bottom cut out at the time. Didn't they have to put a ladder up and get the ball?
Then they cut... They said, this is exhausting. We're going to cut out the bottom and let the ball... But there was no dribbling. The ball was... It was like a feather material, I want to say. It was a big, like... what was that game at recess? Tetherball. It was like a big tetherball, wasn't it? Yeah. Let's see here. Don't have a lot of good ones. On this day in 1941, Chicago Bears' Ray McLean makes the last NFL drop kick for an extra point. I thought Doug Flutie made one.
He did.
Okay.
Until Doug Flutie.
Yeah, this updates pretty well, so I'm surprised it wasn't updated on there. On this day in 1941, the National Football League Championship was played at Wrigley Field. The Chicago Bears beat the New York Giants 37-9. So the first team in NFL championship game era since 1933 to win consecutive titles. It was the Bears' 5th title overall.
Well, the year before they won the famous 73-0 team, a game over was then called the Washington Redskins. So one of the more famous games in NFL history. 70.
Yep. On this day in 1959, Tom Landry accepted the coaching job with the Dallas Cowboys and stayed under that job until 1988.
Till Jerry Jones kicked him out.
He's a peach. On this day in 1969, Vince Lombardi, then of the Redskins, coached his last football game. I did not know he coached for them.
He did 1 year. I think they went 7-5-2.
Wow. This day in 1981, Cincinnati beat Bradley 75-73 in 7 overtimes. NCAA record.
I'm assuming you're talking
Basketball. Yes. I assume it doesn't say, but that's a low-scoring game for 7 overtimes.
Yeah.
On this day in 1983, the NCAA rules did something to the last 2-minute men's basketball free throw rule. It doesn't really explain what they did. Yeah. That wasn't a good one.
Well, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was not a good one. I apologize there. On this day in 1997, Detroit Lions' Barry Sanders was the 3rd person to run for 2,000 yards in the season. It's a pretty good one.
So third, OJ would have done it. Probably Dickerson. I think, it was Dickerson.
Okay. And that's going to do it for today's On This Day. Unless
it was Jamal Lewis, or is he
good.
younger than Barry?
He would have been younger than Barry.
Okay.
So not very good list today.
It is the shortest day of the year. It should be the shortest list.
Good. That's a good point. I didn't even know that was today until I saw somebody Snapchat about being the shortest day of the year, and it's all downhill from here.
Yeah. I think today in Alaska they had like an hour and a half of light, probably.
That would be very depressing. Yeah. But the On This Day segment is brought to you by Proforma Print House. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting, which a lot of those haven't happened in 2020, but hopefully they do in 2021, Proforma Print House has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient response to all your print needs. You need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company today, and give them a call at 574-210-3815. What do you want to talk about next? Do you want to stick with the college landscape and talk some college hoops, or do you want to stick with football and talk NFL? I'm letting you pick. You're the guest.
I don't see a man on the title, so this is up to you.
Well, let's do some college hoops, and then we'll round it up with some NFL talk. But it's getting interesting around the Big Ten. It was an interesting week around these parts. Our Purdue Boilermakers went 2-0.
Yeah, they did.
Opened up conference play, beating a ranked Ohio State team at home, and then beat a Notre Dame team that I think is better than their record shows down in the Crossroads Classic, which any win as a Purdue fan you can get in a Crossroads Classic, you got to be pretty pleased.
Yeah, that Crossroads Classic has not been a classic for Purdue.
No.
I think they are now 3-7 in the 10 years.
2-3 against Notre Dame.
And 1-4 against Butler.
1-4
it all started their first time against Butler when they had like a 13-point lead late and just
choked like a dog.
Missed free throw after free throw, and Butler won at the buzzer.
For a while, it was the Butler Classic.
Yeah.
Butler was undefeated the first 3 or 4 years in it.
I think the best game in the 10 years was probably the one where Butler beat number 1 ranked Indiana.
2012.
Was that far back?
Overtime, 85-83, I believe, or 83-81.
A walk-on.
Alex Barlow
hit a game-winning shot for Butler.
Yep.
But, Indiana's been they probably have the most wins in it.
I would say so. Yeah, they don't lose back-to-back years.
No.
I don't think they
and
have
even though, really,
years.
Indiana has not, other than the 2 years with Oladipo and Zeller, has not been real good those last 10 years. I mean, they haven't made a tourney in a long time.
They find ways to win close games under Notre Dame in it. Like Armand Franklin made a shot with under a minute to go last year to take the lead, and then he played well this week. And Butler played well in the first half, but just kind of fizzled out in the second half.
Well, and then I think the year before that, didn't Finney hit one from about 30 feet to beat
Butler? You're right, about a half quarter.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
And even this week, they came from. Well, they were down anyway to Butler.
They were down 10 at one at the time, but Butler fizzled out quick first 5 minutes, second half. And I know Butler was missing their leading scorer, probably their best player, in Baldwin, but
I thought that was Thompson.
Yeah, Baldwin. I'm thinking of Kamar Baldwin. I'm thinking of old.
He seemed to
Butler
be there
players.
for 27 years.
But I I don't think this Butler team's very good.
They're very young. I know they start a couple freshman guards, and
Yeah.
Butler being Butler, they'll be good again in a year or two.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of the 4 teams from Indiana are really good. I'd say Indiana's probably slightly the best of the 4 right now.
I think Purdue's a little better than Indiana.
Do you?
I think Indiana might have the best overall player in Trace Jackson Davis, but Purdue's got a lot of depth. And they're starting to come on.
I don't watch Indiana like I do Purdue, but I think Indiana plays some pretty good defense for the first time in years.
I think they are better defensively. I think Purdue might be a little better offensively,
I would
especially
go along
when
with
they're
that.
shooting as well as they did on Saturday.
Neither team shoots free throws extremely well.
No.
So, yeah, they'll probably have 2 pretty good games this year.
They should, yeah.
And they both look like teams that'll be in that 8-9 seed if they do make the tourney, because the Big Ten is just going to be a gauntlet.
It's been like 1,736 or 37 days since Indiana's beat Purdue, but I would be surprised if Purdue gets them twice this year.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But there's going to be no fans. It's going to be really, really odd.
I know. Both of those schools will lose some wins because of that, because they both have
they have 2 of the better
traditions at
home court advantages in the country.
Teams like Michigan. See, I don't think Michigan has a great home court advantage.
Penn State's used to not playing in front of fans.
Penn State, yeah. Even when you play at Northwestern, usually you have half the crowd.
Didn't bother them yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying Michigan State would have had
the visitors.
4 of the 8,000 there yesterday. So
that was the upset of the year around the Big Ten so far. Northwestern.
So far,
I mean, they hammered Michigan State.
As I look at it, I haven't watched them all play, but I think today in the AP poll and polls are just unbelievably meaningless.
No, they are.
But I think the Big Ten had 11, maybe 12 teams receiving votes.
Yep.
That's
out of 14. Yeah.
In Minnesota beat a good St. Louis team yesterday.
Pretty easily.
And Saturday, Ohio State beat UCLA. We talked about Purdue and Indiana, both, Butler, Notre Dame. Those are good wins. Iowa lost to Gonzaga, but
Gonzaga's
really good. Yeah. I think even Izzo said last night the country has 2 great teams, and he was talking about Gonzaga and Baylor. And then he said, there's a huge list just a little bit behind them, but
well, even you look at a team like Kentucky, they're 1-5, but they got talent. They're gonna click eventually.
Yeah.
Duke's lost 2 games. Illinois, good team. We talk about them a lot on this podcast with J-Man being a diehard Illinois fan. They got their 3rd loss yesterday to Rutgers.
Well, Illinois, I would be shocked if they end the season with more than 27 games. Now that they've lost 3, if they're going to win at least 20 games.
Yeah.
They're just too strong. I mean, they have too many athletes. Rutgers is strong. There's teams out there. I know Purdue has to play at Iowa tomorrow, and I don't know how in the world they're going to even keep that close.
Well, everybody thought that last year twice, and Purdue beat them. But, it's going to be a uphill battle. I mean, Purdue, we've talked about this. If Purdue could split every week, it'll be pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. But Iowa has the same exact guys they had last year. Plus, they got Bohannon back.
Yep.
Plus, they got this young McCaffrey kid who's about 6'9" and runs the point on defense for them.
Yep.
They're ridiculous. Frederick,
Luka Garza is the best player in the nation.
Yeah, but Wieskamp's a pro.
Yeah.
And Frederick's an excellent college player. And, if Iowa played just a little bit of defense, they're going to win a lot of games 95-85, where the rest of the Big Ten's playing 72-68 or something. So
yeah, it's I haven't even looked at really the Big Ten matchups for this week.
I know Indiana's got Northwestern, which you thought would be an easy one, but after the way they just hammered Michigan State. And then they got Illinois, who's going to be upset.
But we got some Christmas matchups this week for the Big Ten, which is the first time ever, probably last time. I really hope the Big Ten doesn't think, this is a great idea. We want to do this from now on, because the kids need a break.
Yeah, this is only because they're on campus and they asked to do it because they
can't go home.
So many of them grew up watching NBA on Christmas and they want to be part of it.
NBA is going to be competing with those games, so the ratings probably won't be that great.
No.
I wouldn't think.
I don't think a whole lot of people are picking Purdue, Maryland over
probably not.
Golden State.
And the Saints play Friday as well, Saints-Vikings.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably even tune in that over the NBA.
I would think the NFL game would get bigger ratings even than the Lakers game.
I don't know about you, but this has been the least amount of college basketball outside of Purdue I've ever watched in a season up to this point.
Me too. I haven't watched I watched Indiana play.
Saturday was the first time I'd seen them play.
Yeah, I watched a little of that, but I watched them play Stanford maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Florida State. Did you watch any of that? In the
I did
ACC
not.
Big Ten?
Yeah, I haven't watched a whole game. I've seen clips of
Yep.
Illinois, and like I said, that Frazier's been there for 47
We
years.
watched a good amount of the Illinois-Missouri game because that was a fun one to watch because of the intensity of the rivalry.
Right. And Missouri ends up, they're a ranked team right
undefeated now. Last time I knew. So it's going to be interesting. We got a long ways to go till March, but we'll get there. And also, speaking of basketball, NBA season starts
tomorrow night or tonight?
I thought it was Wednesday. I know they play Wednesday, but maybe it's tomorrow. But somebody asked me today where I thought the Pacers would finish. Oh, it was Cameron Screeton, good friend of the show, asked me. I said, sixth seed in the East.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
There was a story came out on Twitter today. They were asking Anthony Davis about something. And years ago when Paul George was on the Pacers, they were working on the deal. Him and Paul, he was ready to come to Indiana and join Paul on the Pacers, and Pacers management shut it down. They didn't want to go for it. That's why the Pacers will never compete for championships.
Yeah.
They're going to be mediocre forever.
They're in the mediocre. They're stuck because
they are stuck because I'm tired of hearing the small market team. Milwaukee's small market, and they're all in.
Well, they got Giannis. You need that one guy.
Well, they got lucky too because they didn't get him in the top 10 of the draft.
I mean, Victor's probably a borderline top 20, 25 player, but he has roots in Indiana.
Yeah.
They got lucky getting Sabonis with him.
Yes.
They've got players. That Warren guy, he's good.
Yeah. Miles Turner's okay.
Yeah. I mean, the Pacers are good enough. They're going to always be in the playoffs, but it's tough for them even to win the first round.
It seems like that's all they care about. It's making the playoffs and making the money.
Well, I'm sure they care about more. They just don't. Yeah. It seems like NBA is a superstar-driven league, and they don't have a superstar.
You have to tank sometime to get that top pick.
Oladipo would be a tremendous number 2 guy.
Yeah, I agree.
But, Pippen needed Jordan.
Yes.
Of course, Jordan needed Pippen too.
Yes.
But I don't see that. They need another. They need that Reggie Miller type guy or above.
Who's a few teams you think are going to contend for the NBA Finals this year?
Well, the Nets are obviously going to be better in the East. They got Kyrie and Durant.
Yep.
Along
and Steve
with
Nash as their coach.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Kyrie's just an odd dude.
He needs to just learn to not talk to the media.
Yeah. Obviously, Boston's still going to be good.
Yeah.
Philly. Who knows where James Harden's going to go to? He's my least favorite athlete to watch in all sports. Maybe
it's always an NBA player that does that for you.
Yeah, well,
except I hear you on NFL Sundays. Get on other players too.
Tom Brady too. Yeah. There's a few of them, but Miami was a nice surprise in the bubble last year. They have some young guys. A guy like Duncan Robinson. Who would have ever thought he would be a coveted NBA player? But
not me.
That's the rumor is that Houston Harden was okay with going to Miami, and Miami did not want to give up Duncan Robinson.
Well, fits their offense.
And Tyler Hero, those two for Harden. So
it's going to be interesting.
The team I think you might have to keep an eye on. It's been horrific for years. Is the Atlanta Hawks? I think will finally make a playoff for the first time, and man, I bet it's a decade and a half. Who knows?
They made it back in like 2012 or 13. I remember the Pacers beat them in the first round of the playoffs.
It just seems like
seems like a long time.
Yeah.
I say kind of look out for the Suns. They're a team that hasn't done anything in a while. They have a lot of young talent.
Yeah. Of course, I like watching Luka Doncic.
I like watching Jokic.
And Denver and Dallas are both interesting. I see the Clippers being a little less than they've been. The Lakers seem stronger than they've been. And then you have Portland. Timberwolves ought to be better. Golden State.
I don't know about the Wolves. I don't know.
They should be better. And then you have Golden State with Steph back.
Bulls fans have any hope with the Billy Donovan in there?
I think they'll be more competitive. It's just they might sneak in. Who knows?
I still don't see the Knicks doing much. Most overrated franchise in sports.
No.
Up there with the Cowboys. Thibodeau is their coach now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he'll get them to play hard, but I just don't think their roster's made up of too much.
Right, and Westbrook is on the Wizards now. He'll make them a little better. So, a team like Orlando made it last year. They probably won't this year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
New Orleans ought to be.
I mean, they're playing a shortened season, but they are playing in their own arenas.
Right.
But as far as I know, at least most cities or most markets aren't having fans, at least to begin the year.
Right.
So we'll see where that goes. But we don't talk a ton of NBA on this show, but since it's starting this week, I thought we need to mention it a little bit.
Oh, and if this COVID situation is going to hang on a few more months, we're going to need something like the NBA once football's done.
Yep.
Because football's a nice way to forget about it every Sunday.
Well, but golf will be starting, golf
Yeah.
tournaments. But if you're not a golf fan, you don't care.
Yeah.
And then baseball should start on time, I would think, or has a better chance to than last year.
I think they made a goal that'd be good for baseball to have some crowd, starting the June type frame, at least some. So
we'll see.
Yeah.
All depends on the vaccinations and science and
get your shots, boys and girls. Let's get this over with.
All right, well, let's get into National Football League. After tonight, 15 weeks are going to be in the books.
Yeah.
You got Ryan Finley and the Cincinnati Bengals against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are coming off 2 straight losses. I think the Steelers get it done tonight, but unfortunately for the pick'em for the belt, the J-Mans won back-to-back weeks because if the Steelers win tonight, I lose by 3 points. If they lose, I lose by quite a few points.
Okay.
So hats off to the J-Man. He made a statement last week that he wasn't going to lose from here on out. So I got 2 more weeks to try to get that title back where it belongs.
They might have to take Tan off that and just make it J-Man.
Don't give him any ideas. I'm expecting a text message any minute now. So, but usually, you know how we do things on the show. We pick 3 winners and 3 losers. So who were 3 of your winners from, or who was 1 of your winners from Week 15?
I'm pretty sure I wrote them down somewhere.
If not, if you want me to start, I can start. And
well, I actually put Buffalo Bills as a winner. They beat the Broncos.
Is it just because you're in this room?
Just a point or 2 shy of 30.
Yeah, it was ugly. It's bad.
It was going on the same time as Clemson Notre Dame, and I'm not sure which game was closer. But
Clemson Notre Dame was closer.
Yeah, it was,
but the Bills' first division title since '95.
Well, and Josh Allen is just must-watch TV. That guy can run, he can throw. He just seems like your little brother who might do something stupid any minute. But he was kind of a national discussion. Dominique Foxworth came on the Bomani Jones show and said he likes to laugh and root against Josh Allen because Josh Allen fans all have American flags and dogs on their avatars. And you got to Google it. It's become quite the subject because, of course, he's the same guy that said Jameis Winston should be starting instead of Drew Brees. So
he's taken some racial stuff into consideration.
He has.
What you're saying.
Dominique, he's on ESPN every Tuesday and Wednesday on the Get Up show.
I don't watch the mothership too much anymore. Yeah. They're really losing my interest.
And that's why the reasons I vote for or I like certain players and dislike, because they talk about Brady a lot. Don't like him.
I remember that.
Poor Dak Prescott, when he came in, was one of my favorite players, and then they give Dak so much love, I end up rooting against him and the Cowboys.
Tim Tebow in his run in 2011. Skip was so on the Tim Tebow bandwagon. You and I were butting heads every week.
Yeah,
so.
I became anti-Tebow because of Skip Bayless. So.
But, the Bills, that's a good winner.
It's their first time in 25 years.
Yeah.
They're
Bills Mafia was pumped the other night. They they welcomed the Bills into the airport. It was quite a scene.
I think they're the only team in the AFC that can have offense that could challenge Kansas City.
I agree.
Now, their defense, but I do know that Diggs supposedly is injured, so we'll see how bad that is.
It didn't look like it the other night.
No. Well, he probably got injured catching too many balls against the Broncos
11 of
secondary.
them, but it felt like it was 31.
It could have been.
It could have been.
a close game, I think.
Yeah.
They're one of my winners.
One of my winners by losing the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to try to beat the Chicago Bears this week or the Indianapolis Colts. They have, Jason Smith, a friend of the show, is a big Jaguar fan. He lives down in the Jacksonville area. He's even tweeting, "Don't screw this up. You have a chance to do something for your franchise. You're getting a new GM, might get a new head coach. You have plenty of money to spend. You have a chance to maybe turn your franchise around."
Yeah.
But just not winning the next 2 weeks.
If they start Gardner's going to want to win so he doesn't get Lawrence into that town.
I don't think the talent around him matters anymore.
Yeah. Jacksonville's got very little talent. But if they could draft a Trevor Lawrence, then they'll get a few people come. Trevor Lawrence looks to be like that once-in-a-decade player. We'll see.
Brian Kelly, even yesterday on the college football playoff show, said Trevor Lawrence is pretty good, guys, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
So he was...
Yeah, he can run, too. And that was a lot of the difference in that Clemson-Notre Dame. Because the first time Clemson-Notre Dame played, the backup quarterback played great. but he couldn't run.
Yes.
And Lawrence actually hurt Notre Dame more with his legs than his arm, probably.
He did. Who's another one of your winners?
Believe it or not, one of my least favorite teams, Dallas Cowboys, 2-game winning streak. They're still relevant. They have 2 winnable games left.
I'm still glad they got flexed out of the Sunday night game.
Oh, my gosh. Well, San Francisco's probably the worst watch on TV right now because of all their injuries, too, and that's who they beat.
They're not the worst watch. There's a couple teams in the league I'd rather watch.
Well, Jacksonville's right there, but San Francisco, my gosh. I mean, you got Mullins and
yeah, I know it. Oh, Beathard now.
yeah, it's not fun to watch San Francisco.
No, it's not. It's not, and they're officially eliminated from the playoffs now. Another one of my winners, the Green Bay Packers. They took over the first place in the NFC, which I think is a really big deal because, as we talked about, home field advantage shouldn't matter so much without fans, but when you're playing at Lambeau and it's 0 degrees next month, it'll be a big deal.
Yeah, they did not look overly impressive Saturday night. They jumped out to a 21-3 lead, and then Carolina actually dominated the second half. Green Bay only had like 60-some yards the second half. So
Yep. But they got a big one Sunday night against the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And another one of my winners, my third one is the Arizona Cardinals. Put themselves right in the play. I think I read if they win this week and the Bears lose, they clinch a playoff.
Right. If they tie, I think the Bears get the over. And the Bears have Jacksonville, and they have Green Bay the last game, which could mean absolutely nothing for Green Bay. I doubt if they sit Rodgers the whole game because he's going to be sitting out the next week. But I doubt if they play him in the second half.
But it's also the rivalry there.
Yeah, I know.
Do the Packers want to help the Bears get in the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't think they're too scared of the Bears.
Yeah, probably not.
They probably would rather have the Bears in than the Cardinals,
Who's your third winner?
My third winner is actually the Chargers, beating the Raiders. I just
throw them a bone.
They've won 2 games in a row, and the one thing that you could knock about their rookie quarterback was he wasn't winning games, and now he's had 2 straight final drive of the game scores to win. I think he locked up Rookie of the Year, in my opinion.
He plays 2 division rivals now, Denver this week and Kansas City next week.
The Chargers are one of those teams, much like a couple other teams we'll probably talk about, the Texans and the Falcons, that could have such a better record, but they absolutely figure out how to blow games. Lions, Falcons, Chargers,
Yeah.
No lead's too safe for those guys.
How about one of your losers?
I have an athlete first.
Okay.
Zeke Elliott. He
Pollard
doesn't play,
played well.
And Dallas just goes nuts for 34 points.
Yeah, Pollard ran really well.
Yeah. Zeke, he signed that huge contract. If it wasn't for Carson Wentz, I think the whole world would be on Zeke right now.
Yeah, and it makes the Dak Prescott situation interesting too.
Yeah. Well, they spent all their money on Jalen Smith, average year.
Amari Cooper, average year. Of course, he's not having Dak throw to him. And Zeke, and they didn't spend their money on the right pieces. Well, and their offensive line all retired for the most part or got injured. I mean, and they probably will, throw a ton of change at Dak. You type all your money in your offense, your defense got nothing.
Well, and they did offer Dak where he'd been the second highest paid quarterback last year.
He turned it down.
Couldn't turn it down. So I do hate to hear the morning guys saying, why didn't they pay any? Well, they offered him second highest pay and third highest pay in the sport, second highest quarterback. So
one of my losers is a loser by winning, and it's the New York Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, great for the players to win a game. Great for Sam Darnold, even Adam Gase, who's going to be sent home with his walking papers here in 2 weeks. I think that's the reason they were keeping him around. They thought he wouldn't win them a game.
I know.
Here he goes. They beat the Rams, who might be a playoff team, but the Jets screwed up, and now unless Jacksonville wins one of these last 2 games, you're not going to be in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes. Are they going to be interested in Justin Fields at number 2? I don't know. I think I would probably keep Sam Darnold.
I think I would too. Justin Fields has lost a lot of money the last month.
If they want to keep Sam Darnold, and if they do think Fields is going to be number 2, they could probably get a lot of trade value in trading that number 2 pick away.
Yeah. Fields looked awful against Northwestern. Indiana gave him fits. Indiana runs that aggressive defense and threw 3 picks that game. So
but he could prove to the whole world on January 1st against Clemson if he has a good game, then he's right back in that conversation.
Well, he does, but the scouts know too.
Yeah.
I mean, they know. The Rams were one of my losers. I mean,
they're one of mine too.
that's ridiculous. I mean, their offense was just pathetic the first quarter and half, and then they were bringing it second half. And I did see a replay of that 4th and 4 throw they threw deep. If you look right over to the left, Goff had his running back right at the line. It had been a routine 6-yard pickup.
Yep.
And so I don't know why he threw that ball deep.
The Rams are 9-5, and they're one of the hardest teams to figure out in the league.
Yeah.
Up, down, up, down, up, down. You just never
They
know
look
what you're
pretty
gonna get.
safe for the playoffs. They've won 9, and the best the Bears can get to is 9.
The NFC West might get 3 teams in.
Yeah.
3 out of
But
7.
I wouldn't want to play the Rams either because
No.
they have 2 of the best, probably 3 or 4 defensive players in the whole
Yes.
league.
Yep.
And Goff some days is hot.
Yeah.
But, they don't have what you call big-name backs, and their receiving core is a guy named
Cup's
Cooper
good.
Kupp and Robert Woods.
Yep.
They do have big old tight ends.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks. Is he still in L.A.? Or no?
No.
Is he in New England? I don't know. He was a Saint. Then they got him to the
I thought he was on Houston Texans.
Kenny Stills is. Is Cooks there
I
too?
know, but I think Cooks is.
Okay, I don't know.
Or is it Randall Cobb that's on the...
Randall Cobb is on the Texans.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay. But anyways, he's not what he used to be.
Yeah.
Who's your last loser there?
I had the Vikings. They got 2 great receivers. They have maybe the best running back in football. Cousins is pretty good. I mean, he's not great, but he's pretty good.
They were supposed to have a great defense.
Their defense has been bad, and, of course, the kicking game cost them huge last week against Tampa.
Yep.
So I'd say Vikings.
I got the Patriots officially eliminated from the playoffs. First time in a long time.
Yeah. I thought they hung in there pretty good for what they had this year. They had so many guys step out on defense.
Yeah.
I've always been anti-Patriot, but I found myself almost feeling sorry for him this year.
Yeah, no.
They gave it a run.
No, but before we get into picking games real quick, in 2 weeks from today is going to be Black Monday around the NFL. Coaches give their walking papers. A lot of teams are already looking to fill head coaching jobs. You got the Lions jobs open, the Texans jobs open, and the Falcons job is open. Jets job's got to be open. Do you see any other jobs becoming open?
Yeah, they'll be 8.
Bears?
If they win their last 2 games and make the playoffs, no.
What if they don't make the playoffs?
I would, yeah.
Vikings?
I don't think they'll fire Zimmer. I think he's a pretty good guy. I mean, a lot of these guys are good guys.
Yeah, well, they're all, yeah.
But I don't think so.
I think everybody else is pretty safe.
Yeah, you never know who's that. Zach Taylor.
How about Anthony
Bengals.
Lynn?
I think he's got to go.
Yeah. I think Zach Taylor needs at least
Oh,
another
I
year.
think he definitely does.
I mean, Cincinnati's stuck with Marvin Lewis forever.
I know. And there's a lot of talk that people want Marvin Lewis
Back,
right now. Yeah. McCarthy probably sticks.
Oh, you got to give him one more year with the quarterback.
Since when are GMs and owners?
I know. Well, who was it? Wilkes got the worst end of the deal in Arizona ever
Yeah.
a couple years ago, 1 year.
Yeah.
That was bad. But I think Vic Fangio's going to be safe even if they lose the next 2 weeks. I think he's safe for 1 more year, I believe.
Yeah,
But
I can't come up with
something's probably got to change out there.
if
Any heat on Gruden at all?
no.
$100 million 10-year contract to have 3 losing seasons in a row.
They hired him to. No.
Okay.
He did a couple really controversial things when he started out as far as getting rid of Cooper and Mack.
Yeah.
Nothing but benefits so far from him. I mean, they got some good rookies. Who knows? Maybe Mack would turn around, but
I still don't know if he thinks Carr's the guy out there, but we'll
I
see.
know. Oh, I almost put as a winner individually was Mariota. Played really well. That guy's career was. Carson Wentz needs to look at Mariota, saying maybe I could do that too if I get back on another team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where your guy Carson might end up because it looks like Philly found a guy in Jalen
Oh,
Hurts.
he played good yesterday. I saw a comparison that Jalen Hurts, that Stephen Jones said, remind him a lot of Dak Prescott, and I can see a little of that. Athletic outside the pocket and throws so much better when he's on the move than when he's in the pocket. They do a lot of short stuff with him, but he makes plays.
Well, let's get into picking some games starting on Friday on Christmas Day. Got the Minnesota Vikings at the New Orleans Saints.
Saints.
I got the Saints, and I'm doing my confident points. J-Man is kind of cheating this week and told me he's going to send in his confidence points later on in the week so I can make the graphic before Friday. So basically, I think he's going to listen to my picks and then base his stuff off that. So
the whole country will.
Collusion already, but I am taking the Saints and for 7 confident points. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Detroit Lions. This game is going to be on Saturday.
It's got to be the Buccaneers.
I got the Buccaneers for 12. I think it pretty easily.
Yeah.
San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals, and this is on Amazon Prime TV. Like you kind of said, the Niners are the one of the most boring watches in the league. Well, they kind of showed that by putting this matchup there.
Yeah. Cardinals all day.
Cardinals 4-9, in my opinion. The J-Man's Miami Dolphins. This is the Saturday nightcap at the Las Vegas Raiders. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Raiders are still mathematically in the hunt,
Yeah.
but Dolphins really need it.
Yeah, I would probably lean towards the Dolphins, but I wouldn't make it a very high pick.
The Dolphins for 4. And then you got your Sunday games, Atlanta Falcons at Kansas City Chiefs.
Chiefs by 1 million.
Got the Chiefs for 13 points there. The Cleveland Browns at the New York Jets.
Browns.
I got the Browns for 15. I'm a little scared of putting that many points on the Browns.
Yeah.
But I think they get it done there.
Baker's been outstanding the last 3 games. Outstanding.
Big matchup for the Colts. Colts at Steelers.
Boy, give me the Colts. Although you were watching games with me yesterday, they beat Houston 2 of the last 3 weeks just because Houston fumbled inside the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
But give me the Colts over the Steelers right now.
Of course, the Steelers play tonight against the Cincinnati Bengals. I took the Steelers, but I hate how many points. I put 8 on it. 8 points. I don't like it already.
Yeah. I just got to see a little more out of the Steelers offensively. They've hit a rut.
I kind of say every week, it's probably because a lot of my friends root for the Colts. That I'm not a big believer in this Colts team, but they win games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're definitely going to make the playoffs, I think. I think they'll find a way to make the playoffs, but I just don't know if they're Super Bowl contenders. But until somebody unseats Kansas City in the AFC, I don't think anybody else is.
Right.
So
They're a little bit like the Pacers. Maybe they have a heck of a middle linebacker, and they got a great offensive line. And Rivers, he makes smart decisions. He doesn't have a cannon, that's for sure.
Carolina Panthers at the Washington football team, the NFC East leading Washington football team.
Huge game. I think I'll pick Washington. Be interesting to see if they put Alex Smith back in, or they tried to throw 55 times with Haskins yesterday.
That's not smart.
He's a disaster, too.
I picked Washington for 5, but I don't know if Christian McCaffrey is going to play for Carolina.
I doubt it.
Carolina's a tough team. They fired their general manager today, which
I don't get it. I didn't expect anything out of them, and they've won some games with Matt McCaffrey.
Yep. I didn't see that coming. The Chicago Bears at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Bears.
I got the Bears for 16.
Wow.
Yes. Like I said, I think the Jaguars try to tank this without making it obvious if there's a way.
Do you have time for a quick stat?
Sure.
This is what I heard on the Dan Patrick Show.
DP's a good guy.
First 48 starts. Okay?
Yep.
Which is 16 games, 3 years, basically.
Yep.
First 48 starts. Aaron Rodgers, 28-20. Deshaun Watson, 28-20. Mitchell Trubisky, 28-20.
I knew that's where I was going. And Deshaun and Mitch were part of the same draft class.
Yeah. But I'm just saying the Bears win when Trubisky plays. So
he's played well the last few weeks, so give him that.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can play well this week and give me 16 points.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Ravens at the Houston Texans.
Ravens are coming on right now.
Oh, nope. I read that wrong. I cannot read my writing. It's the Cincinnati Bengals at the Houston Texans.
Oh, Texans.
Yeah, I have the Texans for 14. So, which scares me.
Yeah.
Putting that much money.
Joe Burrow's not coming back.
No. And I had the Ravens on the next line. This is where I got confused. The New York Football Giants at the Baltimore Ravens.
Boy, and the Giants need it, but the Ravens are playing too good.
And unless Daniel Jones is healthy and can move around, Colt McCoy's not getting it done.
Well, and they actually moved the ball last night. I don't know if you noticed, but they didn't even have to punt in the first half and only had 3 points. So.
I got 11 on the Ravens. Once again, kind of scared of that pick.
Ravens are pretty tough.
Denver Broncos at the LA Chargers. Remember, the Broncos beat them earlier this season, probably had no business winning that game.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say the Chargers.
I got the Broncos, but for a point. 1 point. The Chargers are the doorstep of the AFC West, and I hope they stay there. So
there's a lot of orange down here, so I kind of figured you'd pick that.
Yeah. Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, the Cowboys, like we said, they're actually playing a little bit better, and there's been some juice in the Eagles the last 2 weeks, on all sides of the ball. So I think the Eagles probably have a better team than Dallas, so I'm going to say the Eagles.
I got the Eagles for 6, but it's another game that kind of scares me. It was a tough week to put points on these games. The L.A. Rams at the Seattle Seahawks.
For whatever reason, the Rams have kind of owned Seattle, but they're Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And if they win that game, they're back in first in the NFC West. If they lose it, they're going to have to go on the road the whole time. So I'm going to say the Rams, and I have no reason why.
You don't like Seahawks. That's the reason why. So.
Yeah, and I don't like Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
I got the Seahawks for 2. I see that game going either way.
I'd go for 2 with the Rams.
Titans at Packers on Sunday night.
I think I would usually say Green Bay, but do you want to tackle that big beast in 12-degree weather?
No, nobody will.
So if there's one team that can go up to Green Bay and just run through them, it'd be the Tennessee Titans.
I heard an interesting thing today. It said Aaron Rodgers is the best at hearing things across the line of scrimmage and taking advantage of it, and he can hear this year better than ever without fans in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
It's making a big difference. So give me Rodgers and the Packers before 3. I think it's going to be a very entertaining Sunday night game.
Yeah, I would. That's a toughie.
In the Monday night matchups, the Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots.
Well, I got to think Buffalo, and I got to think Jared Stidham will start for New England.
Might as well. Last 2 weeks, see what he's got. I got the Bills for 10. So, in the J-Man's Book of Prediction Week is brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watching. But this week, it's the Tan Man's Book of Prediction of the Week. My Book of Prediction is the week. I get that belt back. I take the J-Man down, even though he's going to cheat. I'm taking him down, getting that belt back.
The J-Man belt?
The Tan and J-Man Show sports podcast title belt. NFL Pick'em title belt. I don't know what the word is for it, but if you're in need of life insurance, home insurance, auto insurance, renter's insurance, business insurance, workers' comp, or farm insurance, give Travis Watching a call at 219-869-4561, and you can reach him by email at travis.watching@infb.com. And if you're watching this show in the state of Ohio, Travis is excited to announce he can now offer insurance in Ohio as well.
All right.
Hit me with that birdie bogey one more time, please.
All right. Since 1961, there's been 23 football champions from the NCAA.
Yep.
I mean, Alabama's got like 10 of them.
Yep.
24 basketball. Pretty close, really. I'd thought it'd been in some of the basketball, like Loyola and Texas Western in the early 60s. So, but there's been 3 schools that have won both an NCAA basketball and an NCAA football championship in that 59 years. Can you name them?
Yeah. Now I'm nervous, but Michigan.
Yeah, that was a hard one.
Yeah.
They tied. They got co-champions
in '97.
Yeah. For football.
Yeah.
They've won 2 basketball.
Yeah. Let me think here. I got to think for a minute. I don't think they've won a basketball one.
Can I do Jeopardy music in the background?
I only got 2 minutes here. I got to hurry up. I'm thinking of football titles in my head. Okay, that's enough. That's making it worse. Man, I am just blanking. I am going in a complete blank.
One of them you should get easy. They've both done it in your lifetime.
Yeah, I know. I'm just blanking. Both done it in my lifetime.
Football and basketball since the 2000 season. While you're in high school.
Stop it. Oh, Florida. Duh.
Florida.
Yeah.
They're the only one that's won multiple in both.
This other one, a lot of teams come to my head. Ohio State, but I don't think they've done in basketball. Oklahoma, I don't think they've done in basketball. USC hadn't done in basketball.
Ohio State actually won in 1960. So if I had made one more year, they would.
Yeah. Notre Dame hadn't done in basketball. I don't know.
Michigan State.
They did it in football?
Twice in the 60s. They tied Notre Dame, and they actually tied when they played each other, 65, I think. But
good trivia. I get a bogey.
Yeah, we cannot. I've seen you get more bogeys than par. Well, I've actually seen you get more double bogeys than par. So,
well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Tan and J-Man Show. Thanks, Dad, for joining us.
You're welcome.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to all of Tan and J-Man Show Nation out there. Hope you're able to celebrate with your families, and if you're doing so, do it in a safe manner. Like always, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane. J-Man will be back next Monday for for another episode of the Tan and J Man Show.